As the old adage goes, one person's trash is another's treasure, and there was plenty of both on offer at Osgoode Stadium today. For some, it was a chance to clear their closet of some curious acquisitions.
Out of my house, out of the garage, over the years, about 20 years of collecting. Impulse buy. Maybe no husband, maybe, I don't know.
Others were out to shift the inheritance early.
My sons don't want them, and when I go, they're just going to chuck them in the bin or something. So I thought, well, I may as well get some money for them and spend it.
There was plenty on offer for under the tree.
I've found a set of golf clubs.
Lots of child's toys. There's plenty here to be found.
The little children like the Justin Bieber. We've only got one left.
Some even sold a package deal.
I went through my cupboard because I knew I had some things that I didn't really want.
Whether it was off the back of a truck or carefully collected, anything not nailed down was destined for a new home. Dated technology made quite an appearance, along with some equally dated political views. There was a table for tradies and even the ladies.
They're not from failed marriages?
No, no, we haven't even been there. My sister and I used to own a bridal shop back in the 1990s.
Around 10,000 people supported the day, which raises funds for a worthy cause.
We're raising money for Hunter Life Education. It's to deliver life education for health and drugs to about 30,000 children each year, all across the Hunter.
Kath Landers, NBN News.
Rain, hail or shine, Pyrenees Steinert has been putting in the hard yards lately. Back in April, she missed out on a place on the Australian team for the World Champs, but that proved to be a blessing in disguise. With time on her hands, she decided to seek specialist help for a troublesome hamstring.
I carried that injury for about 3 years, and although I was very proud of representing Australia a couple of times, I knew deep down that I wasn't nearly the best that I could be due to this nagging injury that I had for so long.
With the injury fully healed, Steinert went to work on her core strength, and it's beginning to pay dividends as she edges closer to an A qualifying time for an individual Olympic spot.
Training has been going amazing. My rep times on my clock each time are the best they ever have been, and I had a couple of hit-outs 2 weeks ago and ran a massive personal best time of a 52.0.
But the 26-year-old won't be winding down for summer. She's planning to win her event at January's Hunter Track Classic and hoping her Melbourne-based twin sister Sheena also puts herself in Olympic contention.
So I'm really hoping that we're going to be there together on the 4x4 relay team and then have my own event in the individual 400 as well.
He had a wonderful life ahead of him, but tragically it's been cut short. And to get us through this, we have wonderful memories of him and we'll have those forever. Why are we now going to Bali? It's to bring him home. We'd also like to thank the people that helped him in Bali and to support the other kids over there at the moment.
It's been a comedy of errors for Orica, but no one's laughing. First, the hexavalent chromium leak in August, then arsenic runoff in the Hunter River, then an ammonia leak only revealed after 2 men working near the plant were overcome by fumes. So news that the government-led startup committee could decide a restart date for the plant in the coming weeks has nearby residents reeling.
We're figuring that we'll still be the human monitoring systems that we have been in the past.
It is disgraceful that, and it's wrong, that the startup committee is comprised of government agencies and is receiving information from Orica, but the community are kept in the dark completely.
Findings from the inquiry into the August 8 drama aren't due to be released until February, which is also when the Environment Protection Authority will determine what criminal penalties will be enforced over the incident.
Until that comes out, it doesn't really seem viable for them to open. There might be things that they really need to make big changes on.
Late this afternoon, the EPA announced it's allowing Orica to conduct pressure testing from tomorrow at the site responsible for the hexavalent chromium leak. It says work to repair system faults has been carried out and the testing's necessary before a restart date can even be considered. Orica's told NBN News all surrounding residents will be notified well before the plant recommences chemical production. Kath Landers, NBN News.
Britt Osborne is the businesswoman left all at sea.
Am I angry? We are at war.
Her water theme park was set to be Matara's December crowd pleaser, but now its future is on a slippery slope. Miss Osborne received an email a month from setup telling her the rent for the site, Camp Shortland, has gone up.
Well, it's gone from $34,000 last year, which was actually double on the year before, to $197,000 this year.
Adding to the financial pain, Waterworld had turned down offers from other areas to come here. Newcastle Council today defended its decision.
They're a profit-making business. It's not appropriate for council to subsidise a profit-making business which is being set up on prime community land.
Which it claims was damaged last year. But now the fallout could be even greater. The company behind the theme park is also sponsoring Matara, which wanted to enter its 50th year with a bang.
Now at this 11th hour, it's looking that it may damage not only OFA, but it will damage Matara as well.
It'll be raised, I understand. A number of councillors are concerned about this, but the problem is we're in November. This has all got to happen in the next few weeks, really, and it's just not satisfactory.
Nat Wallace, NBN News.
Have a real family perspective but also am firmly of the belief that social justice should be part of local government, that we need to balance development and environmental issues in the local government area.
The early years, they were pioneering times. Newcastle was the steel city and the industry thrived. But 8 decades of steelmaking took a toll, and when the plant shut in 1999, it left behind an unwanted legacy.
Particularly in the early years, there was contamination from its operations that entered the river.
The Hunter River remediation project began 2 years ago to clean up the past.
We have dredged out of the river 1.2 million cubic metres of sediment, of which 800,000 were contaminated, and that's equivalent to about 300 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
An area of river fronting the old steelworks was dredged, the sediment treated on site at Mayfield, then trucked to a specially built landfill at Kooragang Island. The project is now nearing completion, and today, when we visited the Mayfield site, it was clear the river and adjoining land now ready for a new life.
The main outcome, of course, is a cleaner river, and a cleaner river is good for the environment, good for the river users and good for the broader community.
A beautiful river, which it is, and full of fish, full of boating, and but also serving a useful purpose as far as the community and industry is concerned.
Over on Kooragang, the final touches are being put on the emplacement facility, which contains the treated sediment, with great attention paid to preserving the wetland habitat. The project has won accolades, including a United Nations award, touted as an example of what can be achieved.
It's a very important project in terms of demonstrating that despite the fact that we can have really serious legacies, contamination legacies from decades and decades of industrial activity and poor environmental controls, that we can overcome it.
I'm hoping to see a competition run one day to see who can catch the biggest and best fish out of this cleanest river.
This is Oliver, the little boy who just couldn't wait to be in Mum's arms.
Certainly wasn't planning on that kind of delivery this morning.
It was in the Belmont Hospital car park just after 10 when nature hit the accelerator. Oliver was delivered in the drop-off zone. Luckily, the midwife arrived just in time.
We'd pinpointed a time in which she would leave her house and I would leave mine, and we would meet at the doors. And
you really met at the doors?
We met at the doors.
But it was security who was first on scene to lend a helping hand.
I imagine she was holding pretty tight.
She was, yeah, squeezing really hard. Really made me cry, it was that hard. But I had tears of emotional tears just starting to come down my eyes. But it's a great experience.
He did more than his duty, so I think he earned his pay today.
And even though it was baby number 3 for this Central Coast couple, the experience was all too much for Dad.
Would you ever like to have another delivery like this one?
No, I'm going to get a bit of a snip, so...
Don't say that on the show.
Yeah, so this won't happen again.
Nat Wallace, NBN News.
Tarek Elrich is one of the few Jets remaining from Gary Van Egmont's first stint in Newcastle. The fan favourite admits it's no coincidence he's finding form under his old mentor, who's happy to see the 24-year-old get more involved in the Jets' attack. This Saturday night, his defensive assignment is one of the toughest in the A-League. Harry Kuehl.
As a young guy, I used to look up to him and worship him. You know, he was one of my favourite players growing up, and I've had the opportunity to train with him in one Socceroo camp, and you know, to play against him is going to be something different.
We'll have to wait and see whether Kuhl's former teammate Michael Bridges gets that opportunity.
He'll get game time this week for sure, whether it's first grade or youth team, and we just keep on building.
Ben Kennedy is also building towards a comeback after suffering a broken nose and concussion against Brisbane.
Yeah, I feel good. The headaches left yesterday, so got to do some light stuff today and hopefully full training tomorrow.
Kennedy should be available this Saturday, giving Van Egmond a selection headache in the wake of Matthew Nash's performance against Adelaide.
I felt pretty comfortable out there. Timing was off a little bit considering I didn't really do a lot of training the last 3 weeks with the boys, so that was a bit different. But yeah, it was good. I didn't feel too bad out there.
Nash acknowledges his teammates were a big part of the clean sheet, especially this effort by Elrich.
He did say he was going to shout me a beer, but obviously due to religious reasons I don't drink, so he's definitely going to shout me a coffee. I'm still waiting for it.
As most of his friends prepare for Schoolies week, Jake Higginbottom was getting in some last-minute practice ahead of the New Zealand Open. The 18-year-old admits 2011 has exceeded expectations. Going up against professionals, Higginbottom held his own at the New South Wales PGA, made the cut at the Australian Open and finished second in the New South Wales Open. Competing at the same event as Tiger Woods has only enhanced his confidence.
There's no pressure on you to do well. You're not expected to do well, so it's different from going to the top in amateurs to where they expect you to do well every week, where you just go out there and play and have some fun.
Despite his achievements, the teenager still wants the game to be fun, not work.
You get a bit sick of hearing, oh, when are you going to turn pro, but me and obviously my team and mum and dad and all that, we've all got it planned out, so hopefully it all goes to plan and that's when we'll do it, when we're ready.
In December, Jake will get the rare chance to take some time off.
All my mates are at Schoolies at the moment, but when they get back, have some fun with them and just relax and take it easy.
All before his hectic golfing schedule tees off early in the new year. It's been more than 7 months since Wayne Bennett agreed to take the reins at the Newcastle Knights. Today they finally got the chance to impress their new boss as the coach got up close and personal. Bennett then fronted the media for the first time since accepting the job, explaining the reasons behind his move from the Dragons.
It's a great rugby league town. I just a great history here, some wonderful players, and I spent a long time with the Broncos and they're our arch rivals. So a lot of respect for them.
It's clear he also has respect for his new boss and what he's trying to achieve.
We'll deliver what Nathan wants for Newcastle and the Hunter, and he's got big dreams for it. And I like his dreams and just hope we can get it done for him.
Having said that, Bennett also believes it could take more than 12 months for the Knights to realise their potential.
Realistically, you know, a premiership may not be forthcoming in the near future, but more importantly, we just want to build something that will provide them with long-term success and have the resources that they probably haven't had here in the past.
And just for good measure, the multiple premiership winner reminded us of what he thinks of the media.
You know, I'm not a rock star, I'm a football coach. And football coaches get out in the oval, they spend a lot of time out there, a lot of time with their players, and all this is a distraction.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
Much of the Hunters' identity centres on sport and coal. Nathan Tinkler's already nabbed the Knights and Jets, and now he's aiming for a trifecta, unveiling plans for a new coal terminal in Newcastle. The $2.5 billion proposal includes the construction of a new rail line through the Steel River industrial area to the old BHP site. Hunter Port says the line could be used by other industries, rendering the Mayfield rail corridor redundant.
We estimate that'll remove 90% of coal train traffic through the main north-south line.
Mr Tinkler's also offering some other sweeteners, including footing the bill for upgrades of the Turrell Street Bridge, Cormorant Road and Industrial Drive. All up, the proposal is predicted to generate $12 billion a year in export-related revenue, including $1 billion in government royalties. Newcastle MP Tim Owen says he's open to the idea.
Whether it comes from PWCS or it comes from Tinkler's proposal is really a moot point to the government. You know, it's a matter of having enough export capability and an ability to get it out of the port.
We believe by end of 2015, there's something in the order of between 65 and 100 million tonnes of unmet demand from industry expansion potential.
But Port Waratah Coal Services disagrees, having reached agreements with coal producers to construct the new T4 terminal at Kooragang Island.
Our concern is that the Hunter Port's proposal is introducing uncertainty into that commercial framework and that could jeopardise investment.
Residents groups say they'll defer making comment until they've fully digested the proposal. Kath Landers, NBN News.
Ian Moore is an inspiration. Even losing his sight couldn't keep him from the land.
Means the world to me. I lost my father when I was very young. I found it very difficult, and just as my mother and I were there, and it was a big battle actually for many years.
New Coal want to conduct exploratory drilling on his property for the planned Doyles Creek underground operation, which sits on the foothills of prime agricultural land.
Mining will obviously affect those aquifers, if not destroy them completely, and they are not going to be rebuilt overnight.
That's our big concern, that we've got no rights and they can just come in when they want and start drilling.
It was Christmas Eve 2008 when then Resources Minister Ian McDonald granted an exploration licence. He's now under investigation by the corruption watchdog. The situation has angered farmers and landowners across the Upper Hunter. Following two failed attempts at arbitration, Mr Moore this morning took his fight to the Land and Environment Court.
I think I should have a right to fight what I believe in. This is Australia, supposedly.
It was his last avenue, with New Coal winning the case this afternoon, but fellow farmers have promised to do whatever it takes to protect the land.
If he wants to continue this struggle, then the Lock the Gate Alliance will formally begin a blockade.
New Coal will inspect Mr Moore's farm tomorrow and will eventually drill 3 holes. Kevin Mettam, NBN News.
A lot of these players have years of experience in the NRL, but that didn't stop Wayne Bennett getting back to basics this morning.
We can't play the brand of football I'd like Newcastle to play if we haven't got good fundamentals. You know, you can't have set pieces and you can't have wonderful moves if someone in that group can't pass the ball properly at the right time to the right person.
For the players, it was like the first day of school.
A tad intimidating, but everyone settled in after they got going.
Everyone was keen to make a good impression, including another familiar face.
What he has done in the game commands respect and an awe, and that's no different for players. You know, they obviously, some of these young kids will be just chomping at the bit to get out in the field and try and impress him.
The coach admitted he'll also take time to settle in, estimating it'll take a month to get to know the players well.
Names I'll struggle with for a while, but they'll understand who I'm talking to. I'll find some name for them.
Bennett acknowledges the expectations surrounding the club, but isn't concerned that some bookmakers have installed the Knights as competition favourites. One certainty is that Kurt Gidley is set for a change of position.
Well, he can play half-back, 5'8" and hooker, so he's destined for one of those, I would think.
As for Danny Badiris, Bennett believes he'll easily cope with a return to the NRL, and that Tamana Tahu also has plenty to offer.
He's had his trials and tribulations, but they're all behind him now, and I've coached him before. I wouldn't have bought him if I hadn't coached him before. I know Tamana's a really good person, and I know what he can bring to this team here.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News. There was nowhere to hide at Jets training this morning, with Gary Van Egmond keen to test his players in the hot and draining conditions.
You're going to be fatigued in a game. You know, in the 90th minute, I want someone to be able to put the ball in the back of the net and not put their hand up and say, well, I'm fatigued, that's why I missed.
Francis Jeffers and Ryan Griffiths missed the majority of the session due to injury, and the coach admits he's not sure at this stage exactly who will lead Newcastle's attack against the victory. Michael Bridges remains in contention for game time, as does off-season recruit Chris Payne. The 21-year-old continues to mount his case, scoring a hat-trick for the youth team last weekend.
I'm just waiting for my chance. It has been a bit slow so far. I've been sick and injured when I first come to the club, so hopefully when I get my chance I'll take it.
Ali Abbas is also eyeing a return to the starting 11 thanks to strong recent performances in Youth League and at training.
You know, he's been used mostly as a wide player, but centrally he's been doing quite well, and he's got a bit of point of difference. He's got a good work rate. He can score goals, he can set goals up, so, you know, I've been impressed with him.
Mitchell Hughes, NBN News.
A sweet set of skills are in the mix at Connectability's Kitchen. Here, people living with physical or mental disabilities are taught basic but important life lessons.
We do a whole range of cooking and independent living skills, and obviously that ranges from things like learning how to read recipes, learning how to plan a shopping list.
But the kitchen is in desperate need of a $50,000 revamp, and that's where this weekend's Dine Out for Disability fundraiser comes into play.
What the money we raise through Dine Out for Disability will help us do is make the kitchen a lot larger and mean that we can teach more people the skills that they need.
More than 100 Hunter pubs and hotels have signed up to donate $1 from every meal sold to the cause.
It's an opportunity, obviously, for the hotels to give back to the community. It's a very, very worthwhile cause.
But you don't have to dine out to donate. These tins are already in pubs and hotels throughout the Hunter and ready to accept whatever spare cash you've got. Last year, the inaugural event raised $91,000. Connectability used that money to buy this bus, and in just 12 months, it's made life much easier for the service's 160 clients.
What it means is that we can get more people out and about into the community.
Madeline McKell, NBN News.
I think just exercise is the thing. I go 2 days a week to the gymnasium and I do exercise. I've been doing that for the last 14, 15 years, and I think that has been the thing that has kept me in good stead.
Newcastle back at the crossroads as we continue to wait for a firm decision on the rail line.
I mean, it would be so much better without it.
Another influential developer has jumped on board, hoping to get the process moving.
This is the opportunity for them to excavate and, put the railway line underground and build a station underground.
Jerry Schwartz is one of the richest men in Australia. His family wealth valued by BRW last year at $198 million. And he wants to expand his collection of boutique breweries and hotels. Schwartz, who owns the Crown Plaza, has spent $9.5 million on a nearby site. He plans to build a conference centre, a new hotel, a microbrewery and a much-needed parking station in the Honeysuckle precinct, provided, of course, something's done about this.
What's really stopping it, is this division between, Hunter Street and Honeysuckle Creek or the railway line.
After GPT walked away in frustration, most see it as a dream second chance.
It should never have happened, but it did. This is another substantial development that I can see is achievable.
Newcastle is ready to explode. It just needs some decisions made by the government and some funding money to come through.
And the state government says it won't turn its back on that.
You'll find, I think, there's an announcement in the next week to two about the timelines for that integrated transport approach.
Nat Wallace, NBN News.
The stories behind prized family heirlooms can be emotional ones. Little did Rowan know this heirloom was actually given to a Victorian Member of Parliament back in 1901 to celebrate Federation, and is indeed quite valuable.
When I was 18, my father passed it on to me. It was given to him by some close friends of his, but who since had then passed away, and they said they'd like me to get it when I was 18.
While sentimental, unfortunately, not everything holds much monetary value. Some of the latest acquisitions for the museum also didn't escape the valuer's gaze, including this couture fur coat and an old wooden toy from the Great Depression. Believe it or not, the handmade toy would fetch the most cash. But it's the tale behind the object that most people are really searching for.
More and more, the monetary aspect is not always the defining and most important part of the equation. People just want to know what this is. They need to know the answer to the question.
Kate Haberfield, NBN News.
Ian Moore is down, but he's definitely not out. The farmer of 50 years is contemplating his next move after a devastating loss in the Land and Environment Court.
Pretty low, actually. It wasn't the decision I was looking for. It's a real setback to agriculture. I think the men and women on the land is a massive kick in the guts.
Well, we live in a country setting, farmland. It's nice to have your own privacy and not worry about if someone else is up the back when we check on our cattle.
The outcome was welcomed by New Coal, which will start drilling the first of 3 exploratory holes on the Moore's property by Christmas. A frightening thought for Mr Moore, who is legally blind.
Me have to worry about dodging them and driving around my property, but I sort of live on memory with my eyesight, and I don't see why I have to put at risk.
The Moores aren't giving up their fight to save their land and their livelihood, but their only hope now lies with the state government.
The government now has referred it to ICAC. I believe they should put a moratorium on this immediately, halt the proceedings until they find out the findings.
Premier Barry O'Farrell says he's sought a report into what can be done to help the Moores, adding the government's progressing on plans for a fairer balance between farming and mining. New Coal plans to seek approval for an underground longwall mine next year. Lauren Bladwell, NBN News.
A member of the Newcastle Jockey Club for nearly 3 decades, putting the board on notice.
The members aren't going to cop it, the continual succession of losses. I mean, it's hard enough for them to live with the fact that they've got supposedly one of the best racetracks in the country and it's closed.
Last night, the Newcastle Jockey Club had its AGM. The media was locked out. Today, the chairman was painting a brighter picture of future finances.
This current financial year, which we're into about 5 months of it, we're going really, really good, and I'm looking forward to a much better bottom line.
In the past 2 years, there have been losses of close to $1.5 million. This from a sporting club that was once the richest in Newcastle after the lucrative sale of the Beaumont Park Greyhound track.
Reasons why, there's the equine influenza, there's the 007 floods here that flooded our whole track. We had to upgrade those kitchens and upgrade a major commercial kitchen like we have there, like it's $1 million, and we got more than one of them.
In better news, the track remains on schedule to be repaired and ready in time for Boxing Day. Kevin Mettam, NBN News.
New kid again, it's a lot of new faces here for me, and that's the thing, getting to know those guys, and the support staff mostly have stayed the same in the back room, which is great.
A panel beater by trade, Troy Goodwin spends most of his time in the workshop. On the pitch, the batsman is also handy. Now he's preparing for his final tour with New South Wales country.
Yeah, it's still going all right. The eyes are fading a little bit, but that comes with old age, I suppose. But yeah, I'm hitting the ball really well, and a bit more training, and hopefully we're ready to go come January.
He'll be joined by 2 other Merriweather names, including Kane Harmsworth, while veteran Simon Moore comes in after his recent record double-century knock. In the bowling department, Hemwick's Andrew Marsh should provide some spark, while tireless Stockton volunteer Ron Hancock will manage the team for the first time.
Actually, I'm really looking forward to this. Cricket's been a big part of my life, and I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest with you.
And the pressure is on. New South Wales country hasn't won a national title in 4 years.
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, it's a well-balanced side. It'd be lovely to come home as winners. Obviously, that's everybody's ambition before they leave, but that'd be fantastic if we could do that.
The Australian Country Cricket Championships get underway in Geelong on New Year's Day. Kevin Mettam, NBN News.
It was a fashion parade unlike any other. Instead of clothes on show, it was a myriad of celebrity-inspired mows. From Super Mario to Boonie, NIB workers strutted their stuff, capping off a massive Movember in which the company and its customers raised more than $50,000 for research into prostate cancer and male depression. A celebrity panel was charged with naming the Man of Movember, but Ryan Meredith as Mr. Moonse was the clear winner even before the judges made the official call.
It's pretty tough. You know, I'm a big fan of Beyonce, and to see a guy actually rip out the dance was pretty good for me.
It was a lot closer than what I thought it was. I thought Don Bradman should have got the award, but he was very unlucky in the end.
His accolade sure to be treasured.
It's a great honour. So, third year doing it. So it's just great to raise awareness for depression in men, and yeah, it's a great cause.
And as November goes, so too does the facial hair. The state member for Newcastle was one of the first to say goodbye to his mo after raising more than $2,500 for the event.
Well, it's a nice clean feel actually, Madeline, so yeah, it's been good, but it's been a good month and it's been for a very, very good purpose.
Madeline McKell, NBN News.
What a difference a day makes. Yesterday, Ian Moore was a broken man after losing his fight in the Land and Environment Court to stop New Coal accessing his Jerry Plains property. Today, he could afford to smile after the state government stepped in, asking New Coal to suspend operations there until an ICAC investigation into the original licence approval is over.
I believe it's a step forward for common sense. This is what's needed. This is what we've requested this to happen here pre the Land Environment Court case.
The innocent parties here are both the landowners and also New Coal. The ICAC is investigating the original grant of the lease, the involvement of the former Minister Ian McDonald in that.
Mr Moore was seeking a moratorium on the exploration lease. The Premier says that could make his government liable.
New Coal, who have inherited or bought this lease, have done nothing that would enable the government to take action to call a moratorium.
New Coal is yet to make a decision, saying it's seeking legal advice and will meet tomorrow with Energy Minister Chris Hartcher. Mr Moore's message to New Coal: take the Premier's advice.
Do the right thing by what the Premier says and by the community of this around here, because let's face it, it's been high controversy from day one.
Lauren Bladwell, NBN News. As International Disability Day is celebrated across the region,
it's about bringing people together to celebrate their abilities.
there's some sombre news for the 20,000 people living with a disability in the Hunter. A report has found across Australia almost half of those with a disability are living in or near poverty, which is the worst in the developed world, where the average is 22%. They're also half as likely to be employed, which puts Australia 21st out of 29 countries.
It is quite a surprising result. I would have thought that we'd be much higher up because there are some really good employers out there that really understand the benefits of hiring someone with a disability.
It seems, unfortunately, there's just not enough. Thousands of people with a disability are looking for work in the Hunter, and potential employers are being reminded they can be a real asset to their business.
There's probably a lot of myths surrounding people with a disability. A person with a disability tends to be more loyal, more productive.
Lauren Bladwell, NBN News.
Red-belly black snakes, venomous and one of the species you're likely to encounter in the Hunter. Summer has only just begun, but there's already been a 10 to 15% increase in snake-related incidents in the region compared to this time last year. Hot, wet weather over spring created perfect breeding conditions for their prey.
With more prey, there'll be more snakes. Those snakes will radiate from where they've been bred and they'll come into contact with people more. Of course, the other thing too is we've got more housing developments.
And it's not just red bellies we should watch out for. Brown snakes are also fairly common in the Hunter, while tiger snakes and death adders are rarer, but also around. Reptile experts say if you see one, the best thing to do is leave it alone.
The more that you are trying to kill them, that you try and hit them with a shovel or anything like that, then the much more likely it is that you're going to get bitten.
While a bite from a venomous snake isn't likely to be fatal for a human, it's a different story for pets. Quick veterinary treatment is vital, but can cost thousands of dollars.
Studies have shown that dogs treated with anti-venom, that it's highly likely that more than 95% of them are going to survive.
Madeline McKell, NBN News.
The first day of summer, not exactly beach weather, but our sandy playgrounds still sparkled.
There's some really spectacular beaches in the Hunter, world class in fact.
Each has its own distinctive character and level of cleanliness. Keep Australia Beautiful today handing out awards for the Hunter's best beaches.
Well, Merewether certainly is the jewel of the Hunter. It's been announced today as the overall regional winner for the Clean Beach Awards.
It's undergone a transformation in recent times, the new surf house improving public amenities, and Council says more changes are coming.
Council's spending a fair bit of money on the Merewether precinct at this time with new car parks and new walkways and so forth, so that investment is well justified.
Merewether won 3 awards, Stockton 2, and Nobbies was named our friendly beach. That gong reflecting a strong community connection.
It's important to have a clean beach and a good looking beach, a well maintained beach with locals that care for it.
On the highly commended list, Bar, Burwood, Horseshoe, Merewether and Newcastle beaches all claimed awards. A string of clean beaches to choose from. Now all we need is some more sunshine.
It's amazing. This takes about 20 to 30 seconds to set up. We can do multiple locations in one night, whereas last year, because it took so long, we could only do one location per night.
Come in and serve the community, volunteer, help, encourage. That's City Serve, and it's very motivating.
It was easy to lose count of the missed opportunities against Adelaide. So Jets coach Gary Van Egmond has spent the week fine-tuning finishes.
I think it was a bit of a feeling of, well, it will just happen, rather than someone actually ensuring that the intensity and the positioning and the movement is still at the right tempo and intensity of what we wanted to play at.
One solution could be midfielder Ali Abbas, who hasn't seen regular game time all season.
He's good in tight areas and he can see a pass and can play that killer ball as well.
That could be crucial with a cloud over fellow midfielder Casey Wehrman and the long-awaited return of Michael Bridges. English striker Francis Jeffers may also be rested due to a groin strain. Keeper Ben Kennedy is definitely out. He's still getting dizzy spells from his concussion. In contrast, the victory looks refreshed after its win over the Gold Coast, especially midfielder Billy Selesky, who's endured an injury-ravaged 2 years.
The knee's feeling really good and I've got a great pre-season under me. It's something that I want to build on and improve.
Kevin Mettam, NBN News. Darren Smith doesn't mind spoiling Atomic Force every now and then. There's a good reason.
Any horse is my favourite if they keep winning.
Since coming to Smith less than 2 years ago, Atomic has gone from a Class 1 struggler to a Group 1 winner. He was even slugged with 59 kilos in last weekend's Canterbury feature, but it didn't matter. It's a return to form for Newcastle's Horse of the Year and pushes owner Dean Watt's winnings past $750,000.
It surprised me all the way along, you know, how consistent he is and how he keeps virtually getting better and better. So you never know.
Despite being a little camera shy today, the 6-year-old is set to steal the spotlight in New Zealand. Smith is planning his first international assault on the Group 1 Railway Stakes. It comes after missing out on a major international sprint in China.
Yeah, I don't think he was, snubbed from Hong Kong. It was just one of those things that didn't happen and, turn the page and move on.
Kevin Mettam, NBN News.
First, the Premier's offer of a state government-backed independent assessment was rejected. Then came this. All hell broke loose as protesters vented their anger at councillors who voted yet again to bring in the chainsaws. Former councillor Margaret Henry suffered bruising when she became caught up in the scuffle. Councillor Mike King today said that if he pushed the 77-year-old, it was accidental. The vote on the assessment followed a meeting between councillors and Newcastle Liberal MP Tim Owen.
The pre-meeting was essentially to identify that the Premier's offer was still on the table, and we were strongly urging them to look at that.
So it just seemed reasonable to expect that they would take up the Premier's offer.
Among the 7 councillors who voted against the motion, Liberals Mike Jackson and Brad Luke.
So the offer was an unknown contractor with unknown qualifications, making an opinion that the state government would not be liable for, and they wanted us to actually be bound by that.
Council won't comment on a timeline to remove the trees, while Greens councillor Michael Osborne plans to lodge a new rescission motion.
Last night we had a few councillors away, and if we were to re-debate the Lehman Street issue, we need all the councillors there.
General Manager Phil Pearce responded to the incident, saying it's a complex, challenging and emotional time, but that the harassment of councillors isn't acceptable. Lauren Bladwell, NBN News.
Police are claiming a small win in the fight against child exploitation. For close to a month, undercover officers impersonated an 11-year-old boy online. Yesterday, they arrested a 38-year-old man following weeks of alleged online conversations. Police say the Waratah West resident thought he was meeting a child for sex. Represented by a solicitor in Newcastle Court this afternoon, the man's been charged with procuring and 5 counts of transmitting indecent material to a minor. He was refused bail. Police say it's a warning to parents.
Certainly there has been cases in the past and even recently where real children have met with persons that they've met online, and certainly serious consequences can result.
The Child Exploitation and Internet Unit has made around a dozen arrests across the state this year.
Certainly it's an ongoing battle for us, and it's an important reminder to both parents and children of the dangers of online engagement.
Police say parents should keep the family computer out of bedrooms, use filtering software and be aware of who their child is talking to. Kevin Mettam, NBN News.